UAE mice. How the market adapts in times of instability. The industry is once again in a state of uncertainty. Previously confirmed projects are being cancelled or postponed until autumn. New requests are coming in, but decisions are being delayed. This feeling of uncertainty is very familiar. To be honest, after working in the UAE for many years, you stop seeing periods like this as something exceptional. Crises happen here regularly, only the reasons change. Geopolitics, economics, pandemics. So, the question is usually not whether a crisis will happen. The question is, how quickly the UAE will adapt this time. Why the UAE, and especially Dubai, behaves differently. The UAE economy is heavily built around tourism, aviation, and international mobility. Tourism in Dubai is not just another sector. Even in its pure form, it accounts for around 10% of GDP. And when combined with aviation and related infrastructure, it becomes one of the key pillars of the entire system. In such a model, the country simply cannot afford to stop and wait. This was very clear during the pandemic. Dubai International Airport closed on March 17, 2020, and reopened on July 7th of the same year. Just 3.5 months, at a time when many countries remained closed for over a year. This was not a spontaneous decision. It was a strategy, not to wait for complete safety, but to learn how to operate while managing risk. Testing, protocols, and restrictions were introduced. But the market was not shut down. The message was very clear and very Dubai. Yes, there are rules, but country is open for tourists. The UAE tourism sector has several defining characteristics. A high dependence on external markets, sensitivity to geopolitical developments, fast demand cycles. These factors make the market vulnerable. At the same time, they make it flexible. This is why the response to a crisis here begins before the crisis is over. Today, we are seeing the same pattern that we saw during the pandemic. The market has not yet recovered, but preparation for recovery is already underway. Dubai tourism is not waiting for things to settle. New campaigns are being discussed. Marketing is being reactivated. Collaborations with influencers are being explored, and new acquisition channels are being developed. In other words, the system is preparing in advance for the moment when demand starts to return. This, in my view, is the key difference. In the UAE, recovery does not begin after a crisis. It begins before the crisis ends. What is happening on the ground? If you look at the current situation from the inside, the pattern is quite predictable. Group projects start slowing down. Clients take longer to make decisions. Budgets are being revised. Timelines are shifting. At the same time, the market does not disappear. It simply contracts and changes its shape. This was especially visible during the pandemic. MICE activity almost came to a halt, but fit and VIP requests continued. This is an important practical takeaway. You cannot rely on a single segment, even if it is your core business. What adaptation looks like in practice. During COVID, we had a case where a client needed a full MICE format, including a gala dinner, but restaurants and hotels were not allowed to host such events. Formally, the event could take place. In reality, the full format did not exist. The solution had to be found outside the standard framework. We proposed hosting the gala dinner in the desert at Sonara Camp. It is an open-air venue, not a traditional restaurant or hotel, and that is exactly what made it possible to work around the restrictions while staying fully compliant. All requirements were met: distancing, protocols, safety measures. As a result, the client received a complete event experience at a time when this was simply impossible in most countries. This was not about being creative for the sake of creativity. It was a practical solution adapted to the situation. Why this market does not stop? If you look beyond individual cases, the UAE has several structural strengths. Speed. Decisions are made quickly, both at the business level and at the government level. Flexibility. Formats, venues, and approaches can change even during the process. Pragmatism. The focus is not on ideal scenarios, but on workable ones. And perhaps most importantly, coordination. When needed, the industry and the government move in the same direction. For example, in March 2026, even before the market had begun to recover, Dubai approved an 1 billion dirham business support package. This included deferrals of key payments for the hospitality and tourism sectors, including hotel sales fees and the tourism dirham, measures that directly impact the MICE industry. Such steps reduce pressure on businesses at a time of uncertainty. What matters here is not only the decision itself, but its timing. Support is introduced before demand returns, not after. That is why MICE in the UAE is not just about choosing the most luxurious venue out of hundreds of options. It is about the ability to operate in an environment where stability is not guaranteed. And perhaps that is exactly why this market does not stop. It adapts, reshapes itself, and keeps moving forward.